Chief Futurist at Futurist.com, researcher, keynote speaker, and author of Facing Our Futures, Nikolas Badminton, joining us on Canada Now. Nick, this week we look at how global warming is affecting sports.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that at the beginning, when you talk about climate change and global warming, people literally focus on the climate. They don't look at the domino effects, and they don't look and start to consider the dynamics of things that have to exist in these new climates and temperatures, and the sort of the impacts that come to them. And people haven't really looked at a lot of the impacts on sports. I mean, we saw the World Cup in Qatar, right? And we knew that people would be playing later at night, and it's kind of super hot there, and it's kind of interesting. Yeah. I've speculated on economies in hot countries in Saudi, Dubai, or Qatar, whatever, will literally be nighttime economies eventually, and whatever. But I dug out this interesting article that I sent you, about baseball and how global warming is creating more home runs in baseball, and what that implication is going to be.
Fortune.com is where this article is, and it's about a study that claims global warming is contributing to more home runs being hit in baseball. And obviously, simply put, warm air is less dense than cool air, making it easier for the ball to travel further after being hit. The average number of home runs per game has risen over the past 60 years. There could be, of course, Nick, a number of reasons for this. Hitters are stronger and have quicker bat speed, equipment being used like bats, gloves, elbow guards, etc., have improved ball construction past steroid use. Is something to be considered, the structure of ballparks, but the climate, that can't be ignored. That's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we spoke recently about, airplanes that can't take off with a full load because of the air being less dense, right? So it makes complete sense to me. Sure, there can be many, many, many different factors, but what's the consistent thing that you can sort of point a finger at? And it's like that air density. And, a lot of sports scientists know this for a fact, right? So, how's this going to affect baseball? Are we suddenly going to have maybe the baseballs themselves are going to be made heavier? Maybe the bats are going to be adjusted. Maybe there's going to be all of this to create, a game of old. Or, and this is kind of my favorite thing, why don't they just dial it up and just we have games where there's more home runs and a lot more fun? And I love baseball, Jeff. I've been to baseball stadiums all across North America. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm obviously a Blue Jays fan, but I started off as a Red Sox fan, so I apologize for that.
Oh, I'm a Yankees fan. Oh, yeah. No way.
I'm doubly your enemy. But it's interesting, right? And then, we could speculate that, maybe we're going to get to the point where actually all ball stadiums are going to be inside. And maybe those climates are going to be engineered so it's like 1954.
Permanent night games? Maybe more night games?
Yeah, but permanent night games. But I think these indoor sort of atmospheres. So down in Palm Desert, where I wrote my book, and about 2 kilometers from where I stay down there, there's a Coachella Valley Firebirds. They're the farm team for the Seattle Kraken hockey team, right?
Oh.
So in the desert, they've got an ice rink, right? So when I look at things like that, and it's could Toronto Blue Jays keep the roof on all the time and engineer the climate? Could, Fenway Park or, where the Giants play in San Francisco or whatever, I've done a keynote there. That was super fun. Could these places suddenly be climate controlled and to actually level the playing field? It's a wide open future. I love it.
Well, you mentioned something about the baseball, storing the balls in a humidor to make them heavier, as the Colorado Rockies do because of the less dense air that they have. Baseball always manipulates and nudges and it puts things in a certain way. We're seeing it this year where Major League Baseball wanted to see more running on the base paths. They wanted to see more athleticism, so they took away the shift. They've made the bases a bit bigger, mostly for safety, but nevertheless, that's going to be conducive to stealing more bases. At least that's some of the logic. So, in baseball back in the day, they were like, okay, hitters are getting away with way too much. We got to raise the mound a little bit for for the pitchers. That's how baseball is.
Or maybe the seasons have got these ringer games in there that, like, this game is going to be played in the natural hot air of this city at this point in time, and we know it's going to be a big hitter. It's almost like you could program it for better TV figures, and you've got to pay. Advertisers have to pay a higher rate to be featured as part of that programming, Jeff.
Well, it's
the knock-on effect is really interesting with this particular signal.
It's true, but then it also makes you think, all right, if I'm the GM of a baseball team, and I'd like to be one day, but if I'm the GM of a baseball team and I am in like a really warm climate, let's say I'm in Texas, maybe that's going to get me thinking, all right, I've got to get these big bashers. Even though we might play some more night games because we are in Texas, because it does get too hot, which they do. I'm thinking I'm going to get some more big boppers. Speed's not going to be the name of the game. It's going to be hitting it out of the park because we're more likely to do that. In fact, data taken, and going back to the study, data taken from 100,000 baseball games, 200,000 individual batted balls, and observed game day temperatures found that a game that is 10 degrees Celsius, 18 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than the average game would have nearly 20% more home runs than average, and that more than 500 home runs since 2010 could be directly linked to reduced air densities driven by human-caused global warming. So the proof is in the numbers there.
It seems to be that way, Jeff. I mean, this is it. And how many more like sports or industries or home life or community events, whatever, are we going to be talking about over the next few years in exactly this way? Everything's on the table to be disrupted. We're in as we say, we're in a constant state of collapse, and right at the sharp end of that spear is climate change.
Yes. Very well said. Chief Futurist at Futurist.com. Researcher, keynote speaker, author of Facing Our Futures, Nikolas Badminton. Nick, we got to do a Blue Jays game sometime, my friend. I look forward to that, and maybe we'll catch the Red Sox, and we'll see the Blue Jays crush the Red Sox. And if I'm
okay with that.
We go see the Blue Jays and Yankees. I'll go in Yankees gear, and you could sit next to me while I'm decked out in Yankee stuff.
Good luck with that, Jeff, and I'll be there. But I'm not going to promise to protect you.
You'll be sitting in the 100 level. I'll be up in the 500 level.
But I'll run up to film you as you're being swarmed by Jays fans.
Nick, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Jeff.